Hey, what's up? We'll start with what else? Hog Hoops. Of course, Mike Irwin with us, our senior analyst. And we also have Kevin McPherson, our Hoops insider. He writes a lot for us on Hogville. Let's begin with Kevin. And Kevin, recapping yesterday, a three-point loss, 67-64 in Lubbock for the Arkansas Razorbacks. Your takeaways, transition defense. Arkansas had it going there for a while. Versus the half-court game, the transition defense produced 10 steals in this one overall. So, they're getting it done with some of the steals. But what about the comparison there in terms of the Razorbacks game?
Yeah, I thought Arkansas did a good job, not only defensively forcing 21 turnovers, they scored 25 points off of those turnovers. I thought late in the game Arkansas did a better job offensively of getting into secondary transition, not settling for three-point shots, attacking the basket. We saw Mason Jones do that. We see Arkansas get some tip-ins after going toward the basket. So I thought Arkansas did a good job trying to identify areas it could attack because both teams played great defense. We knew Texas Tech coming in was the top defensive team in the country, and Arkansas obviously matched that intensity, I thought, defensively in both halves.
Yeah, what about that, Mike? Because, they had 15 turnovers forced in the first half, Arkansas did, so Tech had issues there. But, after the first three possessions offensively, Arkansas, of course, did not look good. Then they got it going. It's all back to that thing about speeding these teams up and just trying to make something happen.
When Texas Tech was a top-5 team, they were shooting the ball really well. They're a very good defensive team, but they were shooting incredibly well. I watched every one of those 3 games they lost recently, and they were bricking everything they put up. And I just knew that couldn't last. So a lot of people need to understand that Arkansas didn't face the Texas Tech that's been losing games. They faced that team that's been shooting well and winning, and that was maybe a top 5, 6, certainly a top 10 team yesterday. And I thought they played well against them. Again, it boils down to if you can force turnovers, if you can play your game, you're in good shape. Their problem has always been and probably will continue to be, what do you do when it's a half-court game? And that was an extreme example in that game because, again, that's probably the best half-court defense you will face. So that's the ultimate challenge with those guys. And as Kevin said, there were moments in the second half. I thought Daniel Gafford made some incredible moves.
He did.
There down to the end. I mean, splitting defenders, taking those long steps and going up and laying it in. It was really one of their better games this year. It's just a shame that came down to the end and they couldn't get a shot off.
Issues in the half court, some of the entry passes, Kevin, they got to shore that up. Obviously, guys need to be a little more patient in terms of the bounce pass and just getting better angles in terms of the way guys will play against them defensively. But let's transition to free throws because that was big. Second half, Arkansas under 59% from the charity stripe. Thoughts there?
Yeah, the first half Arkansas was blistering, 8 of 9, and that's why they had a lead at halftime. It really hurt Arkansas. If you look at the first 10 minutes of the second half, Arkansas had a lot of 1 of 2 trips at the free throw line, and the way Texas Tech came out shooting the ball, especially on those contested threes and just making them, Arkansas couldn't play a trade 3 for 1, and then down the stretch, 2 of 4 in the last 4 minutes. During that same stretch, Texas Tech knocks down 5 of 6. That's a 3-point difference. Margin in that game was 3, so Arkansas's just got to do a better job. We've seen it all season. The free throw line's really hurting this team, especially down the stretch of close games. Arkansas's lost 6 games that could have won in the final minute, and free throws have been a big reason why they haven't.
Mike, when you're watching this game, you kind of blink and say, what the heck's going on? They were down 12 with a little less than 8 minutes to go, and they somehow just hung around. That's the thing with this team. They're oh so close a lot of times.
Well, it's a team of momentum. They play that way, and Mike Anderson's teams typically have played that well. Again, to me, the whole key to the rest of the season is they've got to go back to that transition stuff. The full court pressure that we saw under Nolan, using their quickness, stealing the ball, scoring a lot of layups, and then, trying to be a little more careful with the ball. Decision making is sometimes bad in the half court. You got somebody and he's going to attack the paint, and then people away from the ball aren't moving right. You get under the basket, you got 2 big guys standing in front of you, and you got nobody to pass it off to. So it's really all 5 guys out there need to be doing what they need to do, and they don't always do that. And it's not poor coaching. They're coached to do that in practice. It just sometimes it happens that way with young players.
Kevin, let's look at the overall record, 11-8 now for Arkansas. It's a very young team. Let's close with this because at this point last season, Arkansas was 13-6. So there's not much separation there, but you do know that there's a lot to clean up with this team. When you look at this team in general, and then you consider the next stretch, Georgia at home, LSU on the road, it does not get any easier, and we all know how tough it is in the SEC.
Right, and we just talked about the free throw shooting. I think that's the biggest hurdle. Arkansas, when you're in a close game, you got to knock them down. Also, execution at the end. Daniel Gafford tried to set 2 picks, one to get Jalen Harris free. He got down low, established himself. There was a play to be made there. Harris went away from that, and Arkansas ran out of time. Then was looking to force a shot when they turned the ball over. I think Arkansas's got to execute better down the stretch. There was a play design there. They had opportunities to extend that game, just didn't get it done.
All right, Kevin, appreciate it. Again, he is our Hoops Insider on Hogville, has a lot of articles on there. Mike Irwin, our senior analyst. And, of course, coming up on the Pig Trail, a heartfelt story from Todd Barber. Melissa Orange has that, so stay with us here on the Pig Trail.